What comes to mind when I say the words green innovation? Most would think of renewable energy, plant-based meat, or even vertical farms. But I'm here to share that one of the most impactful ways and most powerful tools to fight climate change are regenerative business models. Hi, my name is Umberto Greco, and I'm the founder of a climate startup called Tero. Now, I've grown up in 8 countries around the world, including 5 years in North Korea. And one of my favorite things about being a globetrotter was discovering nature in all its shapes and forms. And so it breaks my heart to see scenes like this, of rainforests the size of cities being torn down and destroyed. By the time I'm done with this presentation, over 1,300 football fields worth of rainforest are going to be lost due to deforestation. And that is one of the leading causes of climate change, accounting for over 20% of annual emissions. Now, different people will react to this in different ways, but for young people, this strikes a chord. And that's because Gen Z stand the most to lose from climate change. We are the least responsible for it, and we feel powerless. We feel powerless because there's no accessible way to fight climate change. See, most eco-friendly alternatives carry a green premium, which makes them more expensive and therefore unaffordable. And that's why I created Tero, a free and easy way to fight climate change. Tero is a 3-in-1 browser extension that saves trees whenever you open a tab, search, or shop online. So let me show you how it works. This is the default page you see on Google Chrome when you open a new tab. And with Tero tabs, we change it to this. Now, in addition to the aesthetic changes, we have a little ad in the corner which allows us to monetize the simple action of opening a new tab. So for every 10 tabs you open, we save 1 tree. Now, if that's not enough of an impact for you, you can go ahead and use Tero Search, a search engine that we build that saves a tree for every single tab search that you make. And thirdly, we have Tero Cash. Whenever you visit one of our partner sites, such as Nike, for example, we offer you coupons and cash back on your purchases in addition to saving trees. This works with affiliate links. We get a commission directly from Nike for the purchase. And again, we use that to help the environment. And we've signed up over 80,000 brands. So whenever you shop at one of these household names, you can be sure to save money and save trees. So I've been talking a lot about saving trees. But what does that mean? We all know what planting trees are. That gets a lot of marketing and PR attention. But I always found it crazy why so much focus is placed on planting trees instead of saving existing forests. Forests that are full of life and biodiversity, that are storing vast amounts of carbon, and that are actually very cheap to maintain. You might not know this, but one of the main reasons for deforestation is companies cutting it down for agricultural purposes. And one of the simplest and cheapest ways to fight deforestation is through legally recognized protection areas. And the way we do that is by purchasing land or working with local governments to expand already conservation areas. And so we partner with the Rainforest Trust, one of the leading and most reputable NGOs working on this. And together with them, we've saved rainforests from Peru to Mozambique and to Indonesia as well. And to date, we have 50,000 users who have saved almost 9 million trees around the world. And all of this without them spending a cent and simply from browsing online. And that's the concept that I love, that without having to go out of our way, we can help the climate. Because helping the climate should be something passive, should be something that we do in our everyday actions. And this is not about sustainability. No, we are not a sustainable business, we are a regenerative one. And the difference is this. The difference is that sustainability is all about ensuring that what we're doing today, we can continue to do forever without impacting the environment. Regeneration, on the other hand, is about taking a step further. It's about seeing how much we can give back to nature and how much can we leave it better than we found it. And I think this should be the standard that all businesses strive towards if they want to be part of the climate solution. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of seeing ESG and CSR departments donating money to put Band-Aids over systematic problems. That simply won't cut it. Think of airlines, for example, that are offsetting their flights by planting trees, or fast fashion companies that are donating a percentage of their sales. These business models are inherently harmful to the environment, and they won't last many more decades. So what these companies should do is adapt their business model and try and see how they can align it better, their incentives as a company, with that of the planet as well. It's about shifting the debate of planet versus profit on its head, and instead trying to think, hey, how can we profit from helping the planet? So I'm going to share 3 key principles to having a regenerative business model. The first is to do no harm. And this is about minimizing all the negative externalities you have as a business. Some easy ways of doing this are using renewable energy, minimizing waste, or R&D, for example. Especially companies who have those harmful business models, like big oil, for example, they have a duty to invest heavily on finding alternatives to their own businesses. Now, some great examples of companies doing this are Lush, for example. You see, all their products are handmade, they're vegetarian, and they're sourced from ethical producers. They have over 1,000 stores globally. And one of the big issues for cosmetics companies of these sizes are packaging and waste. And Lush, half of their products have 0 packaging. They call it going naked. Another great example, which I absolutely love, are Triodos Bank and Aspiration Bank. These are 2 banks that use your deposits only to fund renewable projects and ethical companies. So you can rest assured that your money is not being used to prop up fossil fuels and other damaging companies. Step 2 is about internalizing the externalities. So the step 1 and 2 are very important to the sustainability and the net zero movement. It's about reducing your harm, and the little harm that you have to do, make sure to internalize it into every economic transaction. The challenge here, in practical terms, is that this is going to increase the cost of production for companies, and therefore the prices for consumers. Like we've been saying before in today's event, that we're not really pricing the items that we're purchasing. Now, this is something that's challenging for companies to implement, especially in competitive landscapes, because their competitors won't do it. And so in order to actually enforce this, it comes from a regulatory point of view, and using policies such as a carbon tax or other emissions as well. This is the only way to create a fair, even playing field for all these competitors to be able to price this in without having to worry about their competitors. Now, until regulation comes in, we do have some solutions. One is Stripe. Stripe is a payments processing firm that powers a lot of the online e-commerce sites. And they recently developed a tool called Stripe for the Climate, which makes it very easy for online merchants to contribute a percentage of their sales towards removing CO2 from the atmosphere. Now, this might seem like the example I shared earlier about the airlines, but these are not your regular offsets. You see, today's carbon offset market is very unregulated and is on shaking ground. About 95% is just greenwashing scams. But what they are doing here is that they're investing in permanent carbon removal technologies, which are the surest way of removing carbon from the atmosphere and putting it permanently underground. And step 3 is to do more good. This is really where regeneration kicks in. And whereas the first 2 steps are more of a zero-sum mentality of, hey, let's get to net zero emissions, this is about a positive-sum mentality of abundance and how can we actually help the planet and the people doing this. And this is about aligning the business with the planet. The best example of this that has been in recent news is Patagonia. Their founder actually recently placed all his shares on a trust to ensure that the $100 million in annual profits from the company be directed towards climate action. Now, I'm not saying every company should do the same and donate their profits, but I am saying they should be aligning their incentives. Patagonia, before doing this announcement, since day one, they've actually been very focused on people and planet. And things that they've supported, for example, are climate education, political campaigns for climate change, and encouraging a more circular economy as well. And a bonus point I'd like to add is collaboration, because the climate crisis won't be solved by one company or one technology. It requires collaboration across the value chain, across stakeholders as well. Danone is a great example of this. They're a huge foods company, and in the US particularly, they're using their scale and their size to work with their farmers and giving them the best practices to become more regenerative as farmers as well. And they're actually working to become the biggest benefit corporation in the world, proving to other companies that no matter your size or how long you've been in business, you can change. So these are the 3 main steps to becoming more regenerative. It's important to keep in mind here that this is a continuous process, and there's no such thing as being done when it comes to regenerative. Now, we've been seeing a shift in recent years of a lot more sustainability pledges, and that's been great. But these sustainability pledges have come too late and lacking gravely in substance. Public opinion has finally shifted in terms of what is needed to fight climate change. But soon, my feeling is that we'll have a realization that sustainability and net zero are not enough. What we need is to shift our mentality from net zero to net positive. We've been talking a lot about, in this presentation and in today's panel, about who's responsible for climate change, who's responsible for the changes, and a lot of thought has been placed on the consumer. I'd like to show here that really the bigger change and the bigger leverage comes from companies and comes from public policy, as we are the ones who can really make this change from a systematic point of view. And so I encourage you all to look more into regenerative business models and see how you can adapt them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Umberto. Before you leave, a couple of questions. First of all, does Tero own any of these lands that you're protecting? And if so, because the idea is if you maybe own it, then maybe it will be easier for you to actually keep an eye on it. Or is this more of a collaborative effort with other individuals or organizations?
Yeah, so we work mostly with the Rainforest Trust, which is a very reputable NGO working on rainforest conservation. And so they're the ones who actually purchase the land rights, and we work with them to do that, and they're the ones who manage it on a daily basis. It's important to keep in mind that it really depends on the rainforest. A lot of times what we've done is we've purchased land rights and donated that, for example, to local indigenous communities who were struggling to get those land rights, for example. And other times it's just working with governments to expand already their national parks, for example, and help them expand that as well.
All right. Thank you for that one. And the last one is, someone wants to know what the process is behind the browser search and saving a tree. So start browsing, click search, open, go to my favorite shopping site, then what happens?
Yeah, so the whole idea here is making it very easy and passive. We want to ingrain this in the everyday habits. So the way this works is once you download the extension, it's just there in the background. So every time you open a new tab, like I showed you, there's a little ad, but that's all. So just by opening tabs, you're already raising that money. Same with a search. Whenever you search, we have search ads, which allows us to collect revenue.
So it's monetized.
Yeah, it's all monetized through advertisement, through affiliate links. When you're purchasing on our partner sites, we get a commission directly from that purchase, anywhere between 2 and 20% of the purchase. So we use all that money to protect the rainforest. One thing which I didn't mention is that we actually commit 80% of our distributed profits towards climate action. And we've already shown that our business model works, like the unit economics are working and we're profitable. And so we're taking a big chunk of that to place the planet as our main focus.
All right. Thank you very much, Umberto.
Thank you.
All right. A round of applause.